Welcome, everyone. Over the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to have a conversation about investing and how the wealth and power women hold today can significantly influence and change the world we live in. I want you to think about what is it that you're not happy about that's going on in the world today. Capture that in your mind. Is it career ladders? It's women in the C-suite? Is it women on corporate boards? Is it women run companies getting fueled? What is that thing? And I want to make sure you understand we can fix it together. There is literally no barrier today. Women have 52% of the wealth, and we'll have 60% by 2030 with the transfer of wealth that's happening with the generation before us, leaving resources to us. There's nothing we can't do together as long as we have intention and we make it happen. If you invest in companies founded by women, like if you start a company or a woman you invest in her company, she returns 34% more for her investors on average. So we have the money, and women return 34% more for their investors. So you would think every single investor would be over-indexing on female founders. But in fact, women founders only receive 2% of all venture funding. That doesn't make any sense. There's incongruency there. So think about this. You want to make sure there is equal pay. You want to make sure women are in the C-suite and get the CEO jobs. That is not going to happen in a consistent way that's safe for our future unless we fix this problem of fueling women-run companies. Those are the innovators of tomorrow. They're the CEOs of tomorrow, people who are going to have the big exits, the ones that you go work for, and you have a big liquidity event. So I really want you to be thinking about what are the things you want to change in the world. And if we drove capital, if we invested aligned with our values and to women founders, how much would change as a result? I'm Julie Castro Abrams. I'm the CEO of How Women Lead, which is this beautiful community of 25,000 women. We're a nonprofit organization, but we're all about us coming together for your individual success and our collective success. And together we are changing so many parts of the world, including women on boards went from 9% to 33%, in part because of our leadership. But today we're talking about the other hat I wear, which is the general partner for our venture firm, How Women Invest. We are on our third venture fund. In our first fund that we started, we've already sold 3 companies, and that just started in 2020. So those are super early exits with good multiples. We are doing this together. It's women. It's 98% women investors. 600 of us have all invested in these funds, and we're fueling the innovation of tomorrow. And the way it works is I tap women on the shoulder, women who are smart, who I know are influencers, who I know can really bring support and resources, and who are like sisters in the fight to have a little bit of equality for us. And Laura Henson is the perfect example of that woman. And we are so lucky that she has joined us as an investor, joined my board. Laura is the founder and CEO of the most effective public affairs. HVM Communications is the name of the company, but it's a strategic public relations firm, unbelievably successful and I know because she has done PR for us. She's a board member of Good Nation. She's on our executive board for How Women Lead in New York City. She's a limited partner and investor in our How Women Invest fund. And she really is one of my dearest friends because we're working on things together. We're trying to make change together. And there's nothing more beautiful in friendships at my age, at our age, if I can say, where we come together and we're like, let's make change together. So Laura, welcome. I'm so excited we get to spend time with you.
Me too. I'm excited about this.
Laura, you and I share so many things, but our shared values of how we care about and support women is sort of one of those beautiful drumbeats of our friendship and our relationship. And so I wonder if you would be willing to share our credo with everyone. If you believe in this, what Laura's about to do, take the Girl Scouts pledge, you're officially part of our community. There's no membership fee, but you have to commit to be better with each other. So Laura.
Great. I'd love to share it. It's really important and impactful as well. So, first, be fierce advocates for each other. 2, say yes to helping out and connecting each other. If a woman asks for an introduction, make your first reaction, yes, absolutely. Men are better at this than women, but we need to get better at this. We also ask you to reinforce her voice. When she speaks up and isn't heard, be her megaphone and ensure she gets credit for what she's saying. And I would say the most important thing is to get out there and be unabashedly visible. Build your LinkedIn, build your thought leadership, network as part of your day, work, personal, just do it. The old ways of women being invisible are over, long gone, and there's nothing indelicate about standing in your power and owning your voice.
You know what, Laura? When I hear you speak, you're modeling for my daughter. This is what I want my daughter to hear and to see, a strong, unabashedly visible woman who's leading in ways that are values aligned and are making the world a better place. We need your voices, ladies. Everyone who's listening to this, we need you to stand up and be visible. I hope you did the Girl Scouts pledge, a pledge allegiance to the How Women Lead Credo, which is really countercultural. It's that invitation to just be better than the world has been with us. And when we're together and we do this, it's really quite magical. Laura, I have a lot of questions for you. I hope you're ready. I really want people to get to know you and the sort of beliefs that you bring and the expertise. You are such an inspiration. So you built your career. I've seen so many different stages in your life around meaningful impact and really creating meaningful impact. And now you're really channeling this into the women's entrepreneurship and investing space. I see you playing in a lot of different ways and really lifting up women. What first got you to think about venture investing? And when did you realize, like, oh, wait, I can align my investing with my values? And this is a way to really step into a new power.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm actually going to backtrack a little bit because I have no background in finance. I have no background in investing. I've never been in a corporate environment in the C suite. I've always worked in PR, I've worked at luxury fashion houses, and I've had my own company. So
Okay,
I
let's just stop you right there. So everybody who just heard what Laura just explained about herself, one, it what it does is it allows you to feel safer maybe, but there's no way you can say I've never done finance if you've run your own company. I'm just gonna call you out on that. And I think this is an example of how so many of us, like, we have a belief about who we are and what we know, and the truth is you know more than most people I know. Just saying. So you
maybe I
invited other people to feel safe, but I also want to call out, yeah, you do. Okay. All right.
But that said, I started working with some women. I mean, I've been in luxury fashion, beauty, health, wellness, lifestyle for most of my career. And about 5 years ago, I started working more with some women in finance, and I learned a lot. Before that, I really didn't think I had the capacity to invest. I turned all of my money over to people at Charles Schwab, et cetera, and just let them do what
The
they
guy at Charles Schwab, most
Yeah,
likely. Yeah.
and trusted it. I had no idea where my money was. And all I did every once in a while was keep up with, am I making any money? I hope so. I don't really
Mhm.
know. I don't understand this. So it was really when I started working with women and getting into this environment around other women who were taking control of their own wealth journey and were investing and were talking about it because it's something my friends and I had never talked about ever, ever, ever. They, again, like me, just had their guy at Charles Schwab or wherever, or their husband took care of it for them if they were married. So in realizing this and starting to learn about only 2% of venture capital going to women led businesses or women founders, I was appalled, of
Yeah.
course, as one should be.
As
And
a small business owner yourself.
exactly. And I just like became so personally passionate about this idea of equity for women that I think that was the first step for me is understanding that and then realizing that I needed to do something about it too. I can't just be passionate about it, but not then take control of my own money and invest with purpose, essentially. And so that's how I took my first step.
Laura, at that moment when you were gonna take that step, did you have a belief around how much money you needed to have to be able to invest in venture? I think a lot of us are intimidated and think that's for somebody else.
I did, and there was always this fear of, "Oh my god, if I invest in venture, I don't have any money. What if I need the money?" What I did not realize and was the biggest, most wonderful eye opener for me was that you can invest your IRA.
Yeah. I mean, it's already in a long-term vehicle that you're not supposed to be using for cash anyways, right? So, it's already set aside. I think so many of us don't really realize you actually have control. You get to have control over where your IRA, or even your donor advised fund is invested. Like any invested vehicle that you might have, you can actually control where that money goes.
Yeah, that was incredible for me to learn that, and again, all I had to do was move it over from a
Yeah.
Janus IRA into an SDIRA, and I was set and ready to go.
And it wasn't a taxable event. It was pretty
Exactly.
simple, right? Okay, so when you started investing in venture for the first time, what did you have a filter or a lens by which you were deciding where you were gonna invest?
Absolutely. Well, first I wanted to make money, but I also was 100% confident that I could invest and make money and invest with purpose in things that I believe in and that I stand for. And again, like bring about the future that I want to see. A big piece of that, of course, is investing in women.
So for everybody who's listening, Laura has given us so many nuggets and I want to call them out. I would encourage you to really think about some of the things she said. So first and foremost, where do I have money invested that I could potentially think about the different ways I could leverage this investment dollars into things that are values aligned or that where you get to have more power and you get to use that money for other things. So if you have $25,000 or more in your retirement fund, which, you know, almost everybody says yes, right? If you've got any age, you could be potentially investing in venture capital, right? The other thing is, what are the core values, the things that are most important to you? Somebody did a little exercise with me the other day, Tina Bhatia. Laura, I don't know if you remember meeting Tina, but she actually said, think about like a picture of a garden. The dirt at the bottom, right? The ground is really what is most important to you. I want to invest in climate solutions, women's healthcare, etc. The fence might be, what do I wanna make sure I'm not investing in? Anything in fossil fuels, anything that hurts women. And I might have some ideas of what that would be. Maybe it's alcohol or munitions or private prisons. So I think for all of us to sort of step back like Laura did and think, like, where am I what can I align my investments with the things that are most important to me? Because at this point, we may think it's a drop in the bucket, but if we all come together and we invest in things that we think are the most important, we'll see a different country, a different set of opportunities for all of us. So, you started by saying, I didn't know a lot about finance. I wasn't really in working in finance in the past. What are the mind shifts? You didn't work in Wall Street. You don't have an investing experience, but did you feel like you had to have a mind shift that helped you feel more confident about this? Or how did you go about building your own, I don't know, the confidence and knowledge base? Is it surrounding yourself with other great women? Like, what was it?
Honestly, that was it. It was opening or evolving, maybe I should
Mm.
say, my network and my friendships into, again, a group of women who did have that confidence, did have that understanding. And we're talking about money and investing. And again, that's just something that I never been in the rooms to discuss
Yeah.
before. So I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. Right.
Yeah.
So being around these women and among them and having these open and honest conversations, frankly, I learned so much and gained so much confidence that once I got it, I had no qualms about it.
And they're just like you. It's like, you know what? It's actually it's not that serious in terms of complexity.
no complex at all, especially if you're investing in venture because unlike angel investing, if someone else is doing this due
Yeah,
diligence.
you got a CPA, a lawyer, you got all the people who are professionally evaluating this and making decisions, and they have it covered. The way you live your life, the friends you surround yourself and wait for everybody who's listening, either seek out those friends or just start having conversations with your friends. I'm just starting to really have intimate conversations with my friends about, okay, like, how much do we really need for retirement? What does that really look like? What is the trade off? Like, at what point is the cost too high? And am I willing to trade off something for the future? Start having those conversations with your friends. It's a gift to them. The culture hasn't done us any favors by making it feel like it's indelicate for women to talk about money. It's the foundation of it that impacts so much of our life, and especially as we get a little older. Laura, you believe so strongly in investing in the change you want to see. I mean, that's what we're hearing from you today, right? Can you talk about how values aligned investments create real impact? Have you seen it really happen? Why is this important? You said women as your focus area. So how does that all come together?
Right. So, I mean, that I think that's the point. If, for example, I had all my money in mutual funds, it turns out I had no idea what.
Most of us do. We have a little embarrassment or shame around. You had money invested, you put it aside, you were doing the minimum you were supposed to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I honestly I have no shame, it was what it was, but I'm really glad again, I know more now
Yeah.
and know what I'm investing in because, again, I am a huge I've just seen it too many times. There's so many incredible women-led businesses out there, trailblazing women, pioneering women, doing the most innovative things that are going to be successful. There's no reason not to invest in them and their businesses over, you know, I don't know, the guy who's not doing anything that innovative, but, you know, also
Yeah.
gets money because he's a guy.
I read this book at one point in time called The Blue Ocean Strategy, and it talked about the Red Sea of competition, and I think that's what you're talking about, like the bloody Red Sea of competition, and then the blue ocean of, like, nobody's there yet. It's all new. And if you think about women and solutions for women in many ways, and this is embarrassing to say in this day and age, but there's a blue ocean of opportunity of solutions for women. Women are making what you know this better than I do, Laura. What 85% of consumer product decisions are made by women?
I think it's 86.
Yeah. And think about like all the decisions you make about where you're going on a trip with your family. Women even make more decisions about buying cars than men do. And so we have the money to actually fuel a whole kinds of market opportunities for people. But we need solutions for us. We're just now talking about menopause, which is insane.
And the number of women founders over the
Yeah.
past, say, 3 or 4 years who I've heard walked into BC or PE meetings with a room full of men talking about, I don't know whether it's menopause or ovarian I mean, just something that's women specific, and they just get turned away immediately because it's so niche. It's such an absurd concept.
They think women's health is niche. It's like, are you kidding me?
It isn't niche, and we all go through menopause,
Yeah.
right? So no, and it's true, and, I think we're seeing so much innovation in women's health tech now, which is amazing, it's about time.
Well, and it's so interesting. I think about women, I have more disposable income than I've ever had. I'm done paying for my kids' college. I already paid for one wedding. Like, I'm now at a point where like and if it relieves pain for me, I'll pay real money for stuff, right? And so there's a market opportunity for solutions that we all need for women at our life stage. But so many women, I've heard people say, oh, it's, women will write a check for philanthropy before they will write a check for investments. Laura, I know you got so many beautiful friends. I know you hear some of these limiting beliefs that people have about money. Yeah.
Yes, well, I have to say the philanthropy thing drives me a little bit crazy. I am a huge believer in philanthropy and giving, of course. However, I think there is a real lack of knowledge among women that you can, again, give your money to another woman in a for-profit business, and you're doing so much good.
Fuel
You're
future.
exactly, you
Well,
are
my example of this is our friend Fan Meyer, right, at Baby Quip. Like,
yeah,
I love her as an example because here, this is a company that's growing, we're making money. It's 25% more than the value of the company, my investment's 25% more than when I first invested, and it's only gonna grow more. But she just told me they've got 2,000 quality providers, primarily stay-at-home moms, largely low-income women or women of color who are making $1,600 a month in average of supplemental income, as a baby quip quality provider. That's what nonprofit could you fund that would create 2,000 jobs that
yeah.
recur every year, right?
To your point, I think we don't think about that trickle down effect as what, at all. It creates more jobs for
Right.
a diverse group of people, a lot of other things. And I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, the way I now think about it is if I make more money, then I also have more money to give,
Yes. There you
right?
go. There
So I can make more money, have more money, and give
yeah,
more money all at the same time. And it
there
works
you go.
for everyone.
It has multiple life cycles, it did good as an investment, it'll now do good as a donation. Do you have a money story that you are either that you believe in now or that you're sort of letting go? Anything that sort of stuck with you from maybe I don't know, I think a lot of us had sort of stories of money from our family that stick and might not need to stick. Mm,
I don't really have a specific money story. I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. So
yeah.
in my upbringing, I was really taught that my husband would
Ah,
be in charge of the money. I didn't have a husband until a few years ago. So that proved to not
yeah. kinda hard to count on him if he's not existing.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I didn't teach myself. I didn't learn a lot about money because I did make an assumption based on my upbringing that I
Right.
didn't need to know these things, which was incredibly naive, but true.
It was the reality when we were growing up.
And there's a lot of
Yeah.
cultural nuances around women and their mindset with money, whether it's scarcity or, there's just so many different things. Mine was specifically more that I'm not good at it. I don't know what to do. Am I going to lose all my money if I take control of it and take it away from my
Yeah.
CPA or whomever?
I think that's a very common thing for a lot of us. It's like, "Well, I'm not good at it." And I think when we say that, it's like, well, of course we're good to a certain point because otherwise, like, how do we buy groceries? How do you how do you maintain your life? Like, that can't be true. There may be limits and you need to grow, right? I actually also think there's this myth out there that women are risk averse. Have you ever heard that?
Absolutely, I've heard that, and I think that's another interesting thing, the idea of being safe, and people telling you that you should play it safe, but, I mean, when you start to learn more about your money, you understand you've got these pieces of this
Yeah.
pie that you can do different things with, and I think that part's really important to understand. Again, kind of
Deciding what's safe, because
right.
as we know, I can give you lots of examples of things that were considered, well, this is a old established institute, whatever, and it's like, yeah, well.
Right?
Yeah.
We're not risk averse, I just think we're thoughtful and intentional about where we put our money,
I
which
love how you just
part
said that because it's actually we did research and it says women aren't risk averse, we're risk aware. And as a result, Laura, you're a better investor because you don't just dive in and use your gut, you use your brain. And if you look at just like the public markets, women are more likely, like you did, to invest in mutual funds. Someone else is picking and paying attention on a regular basis. Men are actually more likely to pick individual stocks, use their gut, think they can outpace the market. Like, there's a lot of things that and they pay a lot of fees and aren't as successful as investors. Ultimately, if you look at the data, I want someone listening to this is gonna be upset that I said this, but I'm just telling you what the data says. And I think for women to actually understand that in their bones and say, shed that old story, we are actually great investors. We're disciplined and responsible investors. And a venture fund in the private markets is like a mutual fund in the public markets. Somebody else is picking them. Someone else is managing it and is disciplined about making sure that this portfolio is being supported.
well, I was gonna say, and where you make the money is in the long game, right?
Right.
So, that whole jumping around, buying, selling, I don't know, that would stress me out, I couldn't
Right.
do it, so
Yeah, what are you supposed to do when the universe seems upside down? Like, are you supposed to leave it? You're supposed to, like, move it? What are you supposed to do? I think for so many of us, moving into a new investing area, or there are things that are coming up about, like, what if I pick the wrong group, or what if I don't fit? The sort of like that mean girls thing that's so much been a part of our culture. What if people don't think I'm enough? Have you heard people say those kinds of things before? And what would you say to them to say, "Come on, join us. It's safe."
I've actually lived that in my kind of PR world that I've been in, not thinking that I fit in certain rooms, etcetera. What I learned and realized very quickly, and it was so incredible, is that the women who are out there doing this and talking about money and investing, they are so open and inviting. And I mean, they invite you to sit at the table, which is what we need. I mean, we have
Yeah,
to all
yeah,
pull up a chair for each
yeah,
other. Right?
yeah,
And so it's just kind of getting past that mindset of, I guess, coming from a place of fear
yeah,
and realizing kind of
yeah.
that you don't ask, you don't get.
Well,
But
and this is what I want people to understand. It is a new market and we're all learning together. So in 2010, there were only 12 women-run venture firms. Today, there are 380. Complete women-run venture firms. Complete transformation in the market. So and it's young and it's new, so we're all learning together. Well, one of the things we're learning is the data shows women-run venture funds far outpace the performance of male-run funds today. They call people who are in the first couple of years of running a venture fund emerging managers, like you're just starting to become a manager. There's a bunch of big articles that are coming out this week that are talking about some of these old safe bets are no longer actually safe. And the pension funds are cutting a bunch of hedge funds out and saying, we need to get deeper in venture and just start playing in this space where the real money is being had. So make sure you double click. If someone says something that sounds negative about women or this investing in venture, ask them, have you ever invested in venture? How much? And have some questions like, do you have any CEOs, women CEOs in your portfolio? All things that I think are really important for us to double click on.
I also would add, no question is a dumb question, right? I
No.
mean, the more questions you ask, the more you know.
So on that, Laura, we're almost out of time. If you were going to say, here's my top advice to any woman who's thinking about investing in venture today and may have some similar share some of your own feelings and experiences, what would you say to them?
Go out there and find some women. Everyone has one or two friends, I'm sure, who are open to talking about money and investing, and start the conversation. I mean, without starting the again, you don't know what you don't know, so you've got to start the conversation.
Thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate how transparent and honest and real you are always. I adore you. You make everybody else around you feel safe. And I think that is so important. You make everyone feel like they can be like you. So thank you for that. Yeah, for everyone listening, I hope that this sort of normalized it and some of your questions were answered. We have classes at How Women. If you're an accredited investor, let us know and we could introduce you to a venture fund that might be right for you, or we might have a fund that's open for investment. What I know is it is a power play. We sort of started about what's your vision for the world, and you gotta be in the room where the innovation and the new companies being formed is happening. That's where you really get the power, the wealth, and the influence in our country. So don't be on the sidelines anymore. Take control and step in. With just $25,000, you can invest in most venture funds. We'd love to have you at our table. Thanks, everyone.